Chullin Daf Kuf Lamed Aleph. We're continuing with the sugya of Rav Chizda. We actually pass on like Rav Chizda, amazing chiddush, that if a Yisrael eats the matnis kuhuna, Zra'el Chaim V'Keva, instead of giving it to the kohen, he doesn't have to pay because there's nobody there to sue him. The question is, it says in the Braisa that if a Yisrael doesn't give Trumas and Meisers and he eats it himself, he is potter if he did it before he set aside the Trumas and Meisers. But after he set aside, it seems like he would have to pay. So that contradicts Rav Chizda. So we have to explain, Pshat is that the kohen actually was entrusted with the Trumas and Meisers, and therefore he was zoicha in the Trumas and Meisers, in the crop that he was entrusted with. And we hold that Matana Shalei Hurmu, Kemisha Hurmu Dami, that even though the Yisrael didn't actually set aside the Trumas and Meisers, it's as if he did, and that's why the kohen is kohenet. Once he's kohenet, and then the Yisrael comes and eats it, he could sue the Yisrael. The fifth and final question that we have on Rav Chizda is from the case that the king sends out his troops to grab crop from the Jews. So if the Jew doesn't owe any money to the king, so he doesn't have to pay Trumas and Meisers from the crop that he lost. But if he owed money, and this is just paying down debt, so it comes out that he paid down debt with something that wasn't his, the Kohen and Levi's Trumas and Meisers. So therefore, he would have to pay them. It's not to say that a specific Kohen can go and sue him, but he has a chiyuv to pay. Now, why is this different than what we said the other day, that, or even today we said, Rav Chizda holds that if you eat the Zra'el Chaim V'Keva, you're potter. So Taisus explains because he doesn't really benefit by eating the Zra'el Chaim V'Keva, he could fast. But the debt of a king you can't get away from. If a Jew buys the innards of an animal, and including in the innards, one of the four things of the innards is the keva, the obamasim, and that belongs to the kohen. So he must give it to the kohen, and he cannot get a refund from the seller. However, if he bought it by weight, then he could get a refund from the seller. Now the question is, why don't we just say that the owner should be responsible because he damaged the kohen, he sold it to the Yisrael, he basically consumed it by selling it. The answer is because he didn't consume it. It's in front of us. It's right here. So since it's still here, you must give it to the kohen. And now we're going to go on to the very long list of 9 things that kohanim benefit from the Yisraelim, the matanos, the gifts that Yisraelim and Levim give the kohen. It's a lot more than I ever believed. So the first one is, it actually includes 4. The first one, Truma, Trumas Meiser, Chala, and Demai. The second one is Reish Sagez, the first shearing. The third and fourth one are the matnos kuhuna that we give for Chullin, the Zra'el Chaim V'Keva, and the fourth one is the matnos kuhuna that we give for Kachim, the Chazan Shoig, the breast and the thigh. The fifth one is Bikurim. Sixth one is Kerem V'Choimish, when you steal from a ger. 7 and 8 is Zdei Chuza and Zdei Haramim, and the 9th and the final one is that all the things that you redeem. So if you have a Bechar that has a mum, you redeem, you give the money to the Kohen. Pidyon Haben, as we know, we give the money to the Kohen, and Petach Hamar, you give the money to the Kohen. All these 9 things the kohen could do with the gift as he pleases. In other words, he could pay back debt, he could pay his wife's ksuba, he could even buy a Sefer Torah. The chiddush in the Sefer Torah is that he can't even sell it and trade it in for food afterwards, yet it's still his to do whatever he wants with it. The Gemara says a story that there was a guy that a Levi, who used to sit and wait for the kids to walk by with their matnis kuhuna, the Zra'el Chaim V'Keva, and he would jump out of the bush and grab their stuff. Rav was very upset with him, because the Gemara explains, Rav says it's a suffix, how we paskin. Is a Levi considered a am, not a am? Does he have to give matnis kuhuna or not? And it's a suffix. So a Levi doesn't give matnis kuhuna because we have a suffix. So why would he take matnis kuhuna? That doesn't make any sense. Says the Gemara that the matanis of aniyim, and we're going to go into the list here, from a tree is shikha and peah, what he forgets, and on the corner of the tree. When it comes to grain, we add a third one, leket. That's what is left over when you reap the grain. In a vineyard, it's called peret. Leket is called peret. It's the same thing. It means whatever falls off when you take off the grapes. And there's also oilelois, which is if it doesn't have a bend, the grapes don't have a back to it, then you leave it on the tree. All of these things, the owner cannot benefit from it. In other words, he can't decide what poor person to give it to. The first come, first serve, kol hakodim zoicha. Because the Torah says aziva, meaning he has to leave it, they take it by themselves. Here's a very interesting thing. A poor person who has a field, seemingly he's still poor if he has his field, we force him to give the matanis as well, because it's like a play on words. It says, lo salakit le'ani, that the ani has to also give leket shikhan peh. And also, a poor person has to give meiser ani. Now, Meiser Ani is different than the Matanis of Ani. Meiser Ani is given in your house. So there you have a choice to give it to any poor person you want. Not only that, relatives of the poor person can pay you off to give your Meiser Ani to their relative. Because it says V'nasato, you can give to whoever you want. I apologize, that's the signal that it's almost Shabbos here, if you hear that noise in the background. Now, Matnas Kahuna are not like Matnas Ani. Just like we don't force a Kayin to give another Kayin the Matanis like we force an Ani to give another Ani. So they're not mechuyev to give Meiser Rishon. Meiser Rishon, who do you give Meiser Rishon to? According to Rabbi Kiva, you give it to the Levi. According to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Midoraisa, you give it either to the Kayin or the Levi. But once Ezra punished the Leviim because they didn't come up to Eretz Yisrael with him, so they lost their ability to get Meiser Rishon. However, they don't have to give it. A Levi, when does he have to give the matanos, and when do we force him to do it? If it's a matana that has Gedusha, such as Truma, Trumas Meiser Chala, and Reishis Hagez. What about a butcher? He's selling meat. Does he have to give the Keva, Zerel Chaim, to a Kayin? The answer is, if he's shechting, if he's selling meat to a Yisrael, he must. If he's selling it to a Kayin and a Goy, he doesn't have to. And if he's selling to a Levi, it's a Machlokes. The Brisa says he's Potter. According to Rav, that has that suffix, if a Levi is a nation or not, then it's a suffix, and because it's a suffix, he's mechuyev to give. Meremer says that the halacha is like Rav, that a Levi doesn't give Zerel Chaim Keva, and like Rav Chizda, that if a Yisrael eats the matanos, he doesn't have to pay back, and like Ula, that you could even give the matnis kun Zerel Chaim Keva, like I actually did, to a Yisrael that's married to a daughter of a Kayin. And the Gemara actually brings a few Amoraim that they were married to the daughters of Kohanim, and they ate Zerel Chaim Keva. Have a wonderful day and a great week.